Podcast. We are your hosts,
Jessica.
And I am Chris Eaton. Jessica, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I am still wide awake, even though it's like 12:30 a.m. where we're filming this.
We really got to get on a better time, don't we?
Yes, but we're often both so busy with our day jobs, and also we have nighttime stuff, nighttime activities.
Yeah. So pretty much
that sounds terrible, but we meant more like with family and friends and
stuff.
Like
not shady, workers of the night kind of stuff. Like you have a life, I have a life.
Workers of the night.
We're both doing stuff. But no, pretty much the last 8 shows we've done that haven't been either from without a guest on it or live from a comic book convention have all been done at 2, 3 in the morning, in insane hours when nobody should really be recording a podcast in the same time zone.
Yes, but it just shows how much we love kaijus.
It is.
So that we're willing to stay up, defy the body that needs sleep.
Yes. So our last episode was our live show from Kamikaze. Jessica, how was Kamikaze for you outside of doing the panel? Because you left the panel about 5 minutes left, so you can go run and do your Bond panel. Did you?
I did. I had a Battle of the Bond, James Bond panel, and I had to run out because they were back to back, so I needed to set up because I was the moderator for the other one. Mm-hmm. So no, it was, and then I worked a booth. It's the first time ever I've ever been part of an exhibitor. Mm-hmm. So I've never worked a booth before. So I feel for all those people who are like, oh, I don't know what the rest of the convention looks like.
Yeah.
I've been at the booth all day.
I did that.
So now empathy it used to be sympathy, but now it's empathy.
We did that the first 2 years of Kamikaze. We had a booth promoting Realmcast, the site I do all the editing for. And, pretty much it was just I'm going to take off for 10 minutes. And my buddy's like, the hell you are? We got stuff we got to give out. So there's a lot of, standing and looking over in the corner and, God, this is actually kind of boring. If you're not really selling something or if you're not there, a lot of times you're just kind of, sitting waiting for people to come and interact with you. It's a lot different on the other side, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very different. And the thing is, whenever I'm not there, I feel guilty that I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm like, I should be helping out, my teammates and everything. They're just doing things and they handle it beautifully. Mm-hmm. But I'm just kind of no, I need to be there because I'm part of the company. But, I was like, no, I must eat. I will die.
Exactly.
So there was a lot of that. I didn't do press, but I did moderate panels and I did exhibitors booth. So I was just kind of thinking to myself, the day that comes in San Diego where I get the invite to do press, pro, as a guest for a panel and exhibitor, I can't do it. That Comic-Con will be a shutdown day.
Yeah.
I've either got to pick one and just stick with it because there's no way I could do all three.
No, that's a giant, ironically a giant beast upon itself. But Kamikaze's no laughing matter itself. I think they did well. I know from what I heard, Friday didn't do as well, but as last year. But you got to remember, this was on a Halloween weekend. I think it's the first time they held it on that weekend.
Yes.
Literally, it was Halloween, and not only that, but there was the threat of rain all day. It was.
Yes, at Stanley's Kamikaze, yeah, there was.
Yeah.
It was cold. Oh, that's right. It was so cold that weekend.
Yes, it was the first time we actually had rain in Southern California in 9.5 months too. Because afterwards,
it is.
Yeah, because afterwards I went out to West Hollywood to the big Halloween thing over there. Because I've never been out there. I've lived in California my whole life. I've never done West Hollywood on Halloween. So I figured it's I'm right in the area. So I met up with some friends who always go out there. We I walked a mile from where I parked just to get to the damn place. And we were there for like 3.5 hours, and then it started like drizzling, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is fine." And then it just poured like around like midnight, and we had to walk a mile back the other direction to their car, just drenched. And I have a trench coat and a mask and all kinds of other crap on me. So by the time we all get into this parking structure, we're just wringing like just bottles of water out of all of our clothing. So that was a fun evening.
Well, hopefully, I mean, glad it was fun and that no one got too sick because it wasn't like warm and rain. It was just cold and cold. Rain.
Yeah, and 2 jackets. I had a trench coat and I had a like my heavy duty Oregon coat that I got from Portland on over me with a hood and everything. And though it was like I might as well have just been carrying like a backpack like those soldiers carry when they're out camping, like doing like the endurance test. It was like another like 50 pounds on me as I'm trudging uphill like off of La Cienega Boulevard over in LA. So, and other people, it was a weird sight because you're watching a bunch of like, girls dressed as like, like sexy vampires running and covering in terror because they're wearing almost nothing and they're getting drenched, and like a bunch of dudes in like Aztec gears, they're hiding underneath their feathers. Yeah.
So is it like a Halloween parade thing?
No, it's just they shut down Santa Monica Boulevard over in West Hollywood. For those who don't know the area, that part of West Hollywood is how can I politely put this? It's it's the LGBT community over there. So
yes, kind of like those who understand San Francisco, Columbus, exactly. Ohio.
Oh yes, exactly.
It's very LGBT friendly.
Yes,
and there's a lot of great stores there, and there's also actually some of the neighborhoods are quite clean.
Oh, I had to park in one of those neighborhoods.
It's nice there, actually.
Yeah, I had to park in one of those neighborhoods because that's the only place I could park. So it took me an hour to find parking too, 1 full hour. So, but yeah. Anyway, it's a big festivity. Like the one thing you can never not say the gays can't do is know how to party, and they know how to party, and it's a sight to behold, because as they put it, it's Halloween is gay Christmas. This is like their time to shine, and so pretty much tons of people come out and just go have a ball. It's not a gay thing either. There just happens to be like a large group, and they kind of put it on. But like everybody's welcome. There were people there with their kids. There were there's a lot of people. And the thing is too, there were not a hell of a lot of booze flowing like you would expect. And there's just it's like you think Comic-Con has costumes. There were costumes at this thing. I mean costumes. And I was expecting, people kept telling me it's like, oh, you're gonna see like this weird freak show over there, and it's just like. No, it was actually a lot of families, and yes, there was a lot of like alternative lifestyle people, but A, super friendly, as I've always stated, and B, most of them were dressed up in Aztec gear. Like there was a lot of like the feathers and headdresses, and that would seem to be the theme this year. And then there was a bunch of people either dressed up as I saw a Grumpy Cat. There was a lot of like really creative. There were 2 guys that made a boat, and they were Forrest Gump and Lieutenant Dan. And Lieutenant Dan had like a little structure that made it look like he was sitting in his wheelchair with like no legs and stuff. And they were walking up and down. They close off Santa Monica for like 4 blocks, and you just walk up and down this thing, and just everyone has a good time. Everyone parties. There's just vibes all over the place, and it's really fun. So I maybe I'll post a picture or two in the notes just to get a look at. It's truly something to behold, especially coming off you're coming from a comic convention where you think sometimes it can't get weirder. It gets a little weirder, but in a much funner way though. Except for when it starts.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Because I mean that's how it was on Friday, and then like a Saturday there was more people.
Yes.
If I recall, yeah, there was more. See, again, I was at panels in the morning and a booth for the rest of the day.
You had like.
I think there was a lot more people on Saturday, and there was quite a good number of people on Sunday.
Yeah.
At Stanley's Kamikaze, we had our live panel, which was really fun because it was fun, and I'm sure if you heard the podcast, I was wearing an actual costume. It was awesome.
Oh, yes.
Not a prop, not a replica.
Oh.
Although I was like dwarfed in it.
Well, yeah, that was the thing. Mark Hanamiyo had just come back from Japan. They were filming Kaiju Gaiden, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. And he bought a actual costume of the mutant soldiers from Godzilla Final Wars at ironically the anime jungle that's out there. And he brought it back, and he's just like, "Hey, Chris, this is probably a long shot. Do you think this will fit you?" And I was just like, "Oh wow, oh, wow!" And I was like going gog over because I love Final Wars and everything and stuff like that. So I put it on. I'm like, I don't know, man. This looks like a large for Asians, but a tiny for fat white guys. So I put it on, and sure enough, the coat's big if you're like 5'9" and weigh like 120 pounds. But if you're like me and you're 6'1" and like 320 and you have the shoulder length of an albatross, yeah, it barely went past my neck. Like I could not get it on. I looked like Chris Farley in Tommy Boy doing the fat guy in a little coat bit. Like I didn't want to rip it, so I didn't even bother. So then Mark's like, it's like, "Hey, do you think Jessica will wear it?" I'm like, "Yeah." So we put it on you, and you look like a small child who dressed up in her dad's like work outfit. So it was almost adorable. It was right at that point. So, but yeah, the panel was great. Anybody that was there is listening to this. Thanks for coming out. Hope you all enjoyed. We started a little late because we had some audio video problems. We wanted to show the stuff that we had to show, and make sure that you guys got a little. We promised a little something, so we made sure that. But that unfortunately made us start like 10 minutes late. So we know there was some like Q&A that we missed. So I think we're definitely going to do it again next year. Would you say that, Jessica?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. And for those who knew, Chris had something great, like a little gift for you guys, other than what Mark was showing
Yeah.
on the screen.
Yeah, I had the.
But
I actually got a bunch of those.
you have
prints left.
lithographs.
Yeah, I got the lithographs. I got about 60 of those lithographs left, so I'm going to figure out something cool to do with them. So it was made just for the people there, but since I got so many left, I might give a couple away over the holiday season. So just keep an eye on that. I'll put a link up in the show notes on the site if you want to see what it looked like. But,
Right. No, and it was awesome. And then after that, I went to last weekend. For those who do not know, LA decided to put on not one but 4 conventions at the same time. It was amazing. It was Designer Con, which is basically urban vinyl, like designer vinyl toys. So things like Money, Labbit. You've got custom-made ones. You've also got like Funko Pop. You got a lot of Artist Alley.
a lot of kid robots.
So
stuff.
you've got like steampunk, like things of higher end. They're collectibles, so they're definitely not like toys you give to your kids.
Yeah.
So I went to that, and then I also went to BentCon, where we were also an exhibitor. Same company, different convention. And BentCon was great. And there's a lovely man there who's like head of exhibits because he does all the exhibitors. His name is PK. He's wonderful. He wore, and Chris, you'd be proud, a bright orange Godzilla T-shirt. And I was like, oh, my God, we love Godzilla. He goes, oh, no, this is not just a Godzilla T-shirt. He goes, this is my Godzilla karaoke T-shirt. I'm wearing it tonight for karaoke. And then he like scampers off. So I'm like, oh, my God, that's awesome, because he was changing out of another shirt into an orange Godzilla shirt. So that's how I saw him, because he was bright orange and right in front of me. But I was like, oh, my gosh, that's wonderful, because, Japan's beloved character is accepted by everybody, well-loved by all groups. And so we did BentCon, and also it was BlizzCon, Blizzard.
Did you go to that?
Blizzard Entertainment's convention, and also PMX, which is like Pacific Media Expo, for those who like anime, manga, J-pop, all that stuff. So I didn't go to PMX. I went a couple of years ago, but I didn't go this year. I can't do 4 conventions in a weekend.
Yeah, I know it's hard too, especially like Did you hit BlizzCon?
I was not, no, but I was able to keep up everything live.
Yeah.
So a friend was streaming for me, so I pretty much saw everything in live time. So did you make it out to BlizzCon?
No, ironically, it's like right down the street from me. They hold it at the Anaheim Convention Center every year. People always ask me, it's like, oh, you going to BlizzCon? I'm like, no. Look, it's not because I don't have a grudge against Blizzard on the fact that my high school years were spent playing StarCraft with my cousin and a buddy in what they called the war room over at his house. So, like I was up for 18 hours one time playing like several campaigns to the point I start seeing hands come out of the screen and start grabbing at my face. But yeah, but I haven't played really StarCraft. I haven't played StarCraft 2. I haven't played like anything by Blizzard in years, but I still know all my friends are still heavy into that world, so they're always asking like, "Hey, are you gonna go to BlizzCon?" I'm like, no, where's it at? It's I always forget it's in Anaheim, and how big it actually is. It's for a show that's based on one company that has like 5 games. This show is huge, and I know I found out something interesting that Blizzard only sells like 3,000 tickets to this thing. Like it's very limited, and you gotta pay through the nose to get to it too. Like I think it's like $90 to $100 for the 3 days or something like that. But the hardcore, like World of Warcraft people really come out in like full force for this thing. Like there was, from what I saw, the pictures there was tons of cosplay. I know that they promoted the heck out of the Legendary was there to promote the Warcraft movie that they're making.
Right.
And I know that they announced like a brand new game, which actually looks really awesome, called Overwatch. It's a shooter, but it looks like, you remember Imagine Studios?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like something like Imagine made a game. That's what it looks like, and it looks fantastic. So, yeah, there was that. Real quick, did you go to Hello Kitty Con?
No, and that was something that was on the same weekend as Stanley's Kamikaze, and I really wanted to go because they had amazing stuff. They also have amazing Hello Kitty Simpsons clothing, which they released, at Hello Kitty Con, but of course they'll have it around other retailers. But I was not able to go because I, made a commitment to my company and I wanted to be there for the booth.
You being the upstanding worker that you are.
I really, really wanted to go though, but I lived vicariously through all the photos. But also, to save me some headache, apparently a friend of mine, her cousin was there, and she took like a selfie or a Skype and was talking to her, and it was just her in what I can only describe a Hello Kitty frenzy mosh pit of people.
Yeah.
There was no line. It was just groups of people, and she was basically saying like it's not structured in line.
Yeah.
When you wait, it's just groups of people going. So I mean, that was probably my saving grace was I'm not, with 50,000 other people.
Yeah.
Squashed together. But, I heard it was really fun, and it was very, very, very crowded.
Yeah, my coworker who's obsessed with Hello Kitty, she went out, and she was showing me all the pictures. She's like, oh, they had so much, stuff, and I got all this. And I'm like, and it's like, hey, did you, like, she turned to me, she's like, you live out in Anaheim? I'm like, yeah. It's like, they said they're going to open up a Hello Kitty cafe out there. I'm like, what? And so I went online and looked and said, lo and behold, they're opening up. Like, there's only one other one, and it's, like, out in Japan somewhere. So Sanrio's opening up an actual Hello Kitty cafe, like 5 blocks from my house. So that's going to be very interesting. I'm going to have to go check that out just to see it for schnitz and giggles.
Yeah. No, I completely understand. When I was at Stanley's Kamikaze, the convention starts at 1
on Friday,
I believe, on Friday. But the Hello Kitty convention started at 10. So I was there at 1:19, and I was, like, doing something. I was looking at my cell phone. That's how I knew it was 1:19. A lady came up with, like, this really cute Simpsons crossover with Hello Kitty, like, sweater. So I ran up to her. Hopefully I didn't freak her out. And I was like, oh, my gosh, I love your sweater. Where did you get it? She was like, oh, at the Hello Kitty convention. And I look at my watch, and I'm like, it's 1:19. She goes, yeah, the convention started at 10. And I was like, why are you here? She was like, it was so crowded. I just pretty much bought what I needed and I left.
Never underestimate the drawing power of Sanrio.
That's true. That is true. So I was kind of like, oh, okay. And she was like, oh, but, thank you for thinking my sweater skin. And she left with her family. But I was thinking, holy crap, that is crowded.
Yeah. I never cared much for Hello Kitty, but I love me some Bats Maru, though.
Oh, yeah, the little angry penguin.
Yep. So, he's just so disgruntled. Well, let's, so, real quick, while we're on the topic of what we did at Kamikaze, what were we celebrating at Kamikaze, actually, Jessica?
What were we celebrating? Actually, our panel was about the 60th anniversary of Godzilla and the 50th anniversary of Gamera.
So, as we record this, we're literally like I think a week and a couple of days out from the 60th anniversary. It was on November 3rd,
Mm-hmm.
and pretty much it was Godzilla Day. The internet was just abreast with a lot of a lot of glass raises, to the reason why why we're talking on this podcast, the reason why everybody's listening to the King of Monsters himself. I'm raising a invisible glass in my hand right now as I'm saying it. And it was kind of nice. Like everybody came out of the woodwork for it. There was a ton of like artwork out there. Everyone just showing their nice appreciation. So we're gonna try to have a 60th anniversary special ourselves. We're working on something. I don't want to give too much away right now, but if everything comes through, it'll be awesome. But in that meantime, though, I would just wanted to kind of just it would befuddle us not to mention the 60th anniversary on the podcast. So I don't think we would be doing our jobs, would we, Jessica?
I'm sorry, say that for me one more time.
I said we wouldn't be doing our jobs if we didn't mention, at least in passing, of the 60th anniversary.
Of course, of course. I mean, that was one of the big reasons why our panel was there at
Yes.
Stanley's Kamikaze, because, there were other mecha and kaiju panels, that were there, but we were the only ones that mentioned the anniversary.
Pretty much, the other one was just based on the legendary movie, and then there was a general giant robot, like Kaiju. Ironically, kind of like the one you started, like, 4 years ago. It's like, literally, someone was just like, they say, what is it? Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, so I guess you could take it that way.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm. But no, but yeah, no. The one thing I learned from a lot of people, and especially at the Kamikaze panel, there are a ton of people that they're fairly new to the fandom. That thanks to either Pacific Rim or to the legendary film, and like people who either had a passing knowledge or were kind of into it, but fell out of it. Like everyone's getting back into it, which is really good. It's good to see that again, and I have noticed that there was a ton of people. I had actually, well, I wouldn't say a ton, but I had a good, 10 or 12 people kind of come up to me after the panel, and they're just like, so yeah, I've only seen a couple of them, like, mostly all the newer stuff, like the Millennium films. They're like, what, you guys were talking about this movie, or, like, there's another Mechagodzilla movie? I'm like, there's 4 of them. He's like, there's 4. I've only seen 2. I'm like, which one did you see? He's like, saw the one where with the girl that was piloting. I'm like, all right, so you saw the new one? He's like, yeah. It's like, yeah, because I mentioned that Mechagodzilla '74 is my all-time favorite Godzilla movie. He's like,
Yes, yeah.
He's like, well, what happened in that one? I'm like, well, there's the Planet of the Apes invade Earth, and they bring Mechagodzilla with them, and Godzilla teams up with a with the living embodiment of a Japanese lion statue, and they take him on, and it's awesome. He's like, really? He's like, where can I find this stuff? I'm like, dude, you gotta look. But I'm like, I send him on his way. I'm like, here, go to Crackle, go to this site, and just start from there. He's like, all right. And he pauses, and he's like, what's Gamera? I'm like, oh, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm new to this. I'm like, that's fine. That's why we're here. So I told him, it's like, you can go out, you can go on Amazon. For $10 on Blu-ray, you can buy every single Gamera film except for the last one, and all the ones that count. And just go enjoy them. Watch a few of the old ones, and then watch the '90s trilogy, and you will fall in love with giant monsters all over again. It's all right, awesome. So, it's very refreshing to see the youth of today taking an interest in the art of yesteryear.
Yes. Oh, I was so sad I was not able to miss the after panel questions, but we were in the middle of having battles between different James Bonds. So there was that. But that one was fun too, but it would have been great to really talk with, it's always fun to talk to other fans like us, and we can always exchange knowledge and, let each other know what we like or what we didn't like or what we should recommend to watch.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like when we started this, part of the intention was, we kind of foresaw that, Pacific Rim was probably going to open up a lot of people to the fandom. So, some other podcasts like the Kaiju Cast, they aim, and this is not a knock on anything they're doing. I love those guys, but they aim for the crowd, the fans that are in the know. Like part of our intention was like for people who are in the know, we're great. But if you're new to it, like we will kind of gently eat like you're getting into a pool that's cold but it's warm out, and we will ease you into it, and you will have a great time.
Right. No, I completely understand. Yep. Because there's always different types of podcasts. I mean, for comic books to toys to music, for those that are more for introduction and education, and also for those that are more who are already experts at it and they just want, even more or to hone that expert knowledge.
Yeah.
Some people, you can't just dump them in the deep end.
No, you can't.
You have to start. Yeah. I am one of those, at least in terms of swimming, I need to start from the shallow end and then move to the deep end. So I completely understand, on their behalf.
Yeah. Well.
But yeah, no, it was really fun. We had a good Stanley's Kamikaze.
So.
And, it was amazing. It fell like a couple days later was Godzilla's 60th anniversary.
It was the 60th, and then now they're still celebrating, but the big party's already been hit. But there's it's still going strong. I don't count it until like at least the December, because that's when most of the movies came out anyway when I was growing up. So there's still that. So we're gonna put out a couple more podcasts dedicated before the end of the year to the 60th anniversary. So we had to make mention of it at least in passing on this episode. So Jessica, let's get into some news. That's pretty much today's episode is kind of like a news of the world thing. We're just no big topic. We're just got a bunch of little stuff because our last few episodes have been very topic heavy on other stuff. So this is all the stuff we've missed in the in between. So Jessica, have you seen that someone is petitioning to get Legendary to make a Godzilla cartoon?
I have after you've linked it to me because I've been busy with a couple family things. I had a family emergency, for those who didn't know. And so I wasn't been able to keep up with as many things as I wanted online.
Yeah.
Because they also suck up so much of your time. But I did see that, and I support it. I did laugh because it brought me back memories after the 1998 Godzilla, and they made that into an animated series.
Actually, that series
but
wasn't
this
bad,
one will
though.
be different and better, we would hope.
Well, a gentleman by the name of Jake Long has started a petition on GoPetition to get Legendary to make a cartoon to tide us over in the 4 years we have to wait in between Godzilla movies. So
yes.
I'm all for this. I really do think the Legendary, much like Toho, should probably be whoring the hell out of it while they can to keep interest going for in between those 4 years. It
is quite some time to wait, and not all people are in the comic book medium, sequential art medium, for those who need comic books. But the thing is, for what Maury and Frank is doing is not really inclusive in the Legendary universe. So some people want, and more people are going to watch TV than read comics, and so I think a Legendary animated Godzilla will help.
Oh yeah,
because it's it's like a little tie over, like you were saying.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you could do a ton of stuff that won't interfere. Kind of like look at best example is what Sony does, or at least did back in the late '90s. Pretty much any time they had a big movie come out, they put a cartoon out to go along with it. When Jumanji came out, there was a Jumanji cartoon. When Men in Black came out, there was a Men in Black cartoon, and when Godzilla came out, there was a Godzilla cartoon. And depending on your taste, a lot of those shows were sometimes better than the movies themselves. I actually really enjoy the Godzilla the Animated Series far more than the movie. It was.
Yep, that's true. That is true.
Far more in spirit with what Godzilla really is more than anything that was in the movie. So, which you can go watch. It's up on Netflix. All 40 episodes are up there. I really would recommend it if you haven't seen it. I can't believe that's like 16 years old now too. Good God. But yeah, go check that. But yeah, a new cartoon. Here's the thing that's always bothered me is that there's never been a ton of animated Godzilla. Like there was the Hanna-Barbera cartoon, and then there was the Sony cartoon, and that's essentially it. Like it still to this day shocks me that there's never been an anime of any sort based on Godzilla.
and yet he was Japan's most popular character until Doraemon,
Yeah.
the blue
Yeah.
robot cat, kind of took over a couple of years ago.
You can't fight with that. And he is an adorable cat thing. I don't know. My knowledge of Doraemon only goes to the fact that he looks happy every time I see him.
Oh my god!
Well, it's like Hamataro. For Toho was releasing Hamataro shorts. I think they did with GMK, and I think they did it with the two Mechagodzilla movies because they were helping boost the ticket sales. And
Right.
so when Hamataro got popular in Japan, they imported it over here in the early 2000s, and Cartoon Network had it. And I was with a buddy of mine and his cousin, and and Hamataro popped up, and I was like, "Oh, hey, I brought Hamataro over here." And he just turns to me, he's like, "I hate freaking Hamataro." I'm like, "Why do you hate Hamataro?" He's like, "Because nothing bad ever happens to those little bastards." I'm just like, "So you hate them because their life is carefree and happy, and nothing like there's not a car accident that violently takes out like one of these hamsters, and that's what angers you." He's like, "Yes." I'm like, "All right, your priorities are clearly straight in life." But
Yes, no, Hamtaro was one of my favorites. So cute, especially whenever they went by the sleeping dog.
I am shocked. I am shocked that
Yes, I even have the video games.
Wow, that's dedication. That is
They are
dedication.
so cute.
So pretty much, if it's small and fuzzy, you cannot resist it, right?
Yeah, well, my first pet, my first real pet was a hamster named Hammy. So I wanted a little brother, and my mother says, okay. And then 2 weeks later, I walk home from school. I'm in 4th grade, and she leaves a note on the door and was like, "I have a present for you." So I ran all the way into the back of the kitchen, like through the house. Our kitchen's in the back, thinking it was a little brother. I mean, I don't know how babies were born at the time. I should have known. And it was a giant 5-gallon yellow bucket, like you would get from like a Home Depot, and with like a cardboard cover on top. So I moved it out, and I looked in. It's like a mess of newspapers and this gigantic fat hamster sitting on the bottom. And I was like, oh, my God, that's not a human boy. And my mom comes home, and I told her, and she goes, "You want a little brother, so I gave you the next best thing. It's a male hamster." And so I was like, oh, yay. And then Hammy was in my life. That little sucker lived 5 years. And he was already a grown-ass adult hamster when he came.
Pretty long for a
So I don't know how long he's been alive. He could be like he could be like the grandfather of all hamsters. I'm not so sure.
I had a free-range guinea pig growing up when I was a kid. That was my
yes, I remember you told me. And that guinea pig took out a cat.
Yes. Oh, it was one of the greatest moments of my young life. I had my guinea pig. We got it from my dad's cousin. And my dad, in his infinite wisdom, did not keep it in a cage. We had a small patch of grass. I don't know if I told this story here, but we had a small patch of grass in our backyard because we had extended our house, so our backyard shrunk considerably. So pretty much all the way around the house was surrounded by concrete except for this 10 by 12 foot patch of grass we had back there. My dad just kind of threw him out there. It's like, here you go. And he wandered around, he looked, and then he came up to the edge of the walk and put his feet up on the concrete. It's like, nope. And went back to the grass. So we had no worry of him ever running off. Like, he would never run off the grass. Like, so we knew, like, there was, like, much like Monster Island, there was an invisible barrier keeping him in. And pretty much he would just hang out. He was a fat guinea pig. He was probably about 2 foot long, probably. Maybe a little over a foot and a half. He was pretty big. And pretty much he sat out there, munched on grass. My dad had a little. My dad would initially put like a little cage out there. My mom insisted, like, "Oh, he belongs in a cage." Put him in a cage, he would do nothing but whine, like that little whistling thing that they do. And he did that constantly because he didn't like being in the cage. So we'd take him back out of the cage, throw him outside. And this is in Norwalk, California. Like, this is not like like a subtropic climate or anything for it. It's literally like it's a suburb, and that's where he remained for like the 8 years that we had him. And we had a lot of stray cats in our neighborhood. My mom was always worried that a cat was going to come and just mess them up. Mind you, we were very lazy with our pet names. Like, we never had a dog or a cat, so we had 2 birds, a couple of fish, and the guinea pig. So we just called the guinea pig Guinea. That's all we named him. It was just like, we're too lazy to give you a proper name. And our birds didn't have a name. We just called them birds. They're bird 1 and bird 2. And our goldfish, which murdered the other 2 goldfish in the bowl and then grew to like a Hulk size. It was just our goldfish. That was it. Like, we're very uncreative. And so one day, little 8-year-old Chris is walking into this. We have a den area with a big sliding door that looks in the backyard. And I look out the window. It's a big sliding door, and I see, I'm literally like 5 feet from my guinea pig. There's just a pane of glass, and a couple of feet of concrete separating us. And I see him out there, and he's sitting in the middle of the little patch, and he's nibbling on grass. And he's got this little plate of lettuce and stuff out there. I see this cat hop up on the wall. It's a stray, this like tabby or whatever that runs around the neighborhood. And I see him, and he's kind of eyeing the guinea pig. And guinea pig's just minding his own business, just like chilling. And pretty much the cat jumps down, and he's doing that, how cats, start stalking.
Yes, they stalk their prey.
Yeah,
yep.
So he starts stalking up to him, and pretty much the guinea pig turns around, and the cat, he sees the cat, and there's like this showdown, like they're just staring at each other. The cat leaps at my guinea pig. Guinea pig goes up and just takes a big bite out of his face, and just messes up this cat. And I see the cat just like freak out in terror, and then runs back up. Guinea pig turns around like nothing happened, just goes back to eating. Even better, literally like a month later, we were having a party, and my cousin's aunt brought her like Cocker Spaniel, and that thing was running around, and this thing was a little bastard, like just barking at everyone, just an annoying dog. And so it's running around the backyard, and we're all talking. All of a sudden, we hear a commotion. We hear the dog barking and growling. And I look over, and I see the dog growling at my guinea pig. My guinea pig raced up with his mouth open, his huge teeth like glaring, and they're about ready to go at it. Like, literally, it's like War of the Gargantuas. And the dog lunges for my guinea pig. The guinea pig ducks under, and then doing the equivalent of a guinea pig uppercut, latches on to the underneck, or into the neck of the Cocker Spaniel, and just bites down. And the dog starts freaking out and swings wildly, like it's swinging its neck, yelling, "Ah, yeah!" And the guinea pig is holding on, just teeth in there, and he is like flying back and forth, and he ain't letting go. And he's got this dog in a death grip, and the dog finally, like, just latches up, throws the guinea pig off. He kind of flips in the air and lands back down. Doesn't do a thing. The dog runs off, and it's just terrifying. He's got a bloody neck. Guinea pig just goes back to minding his own business. So I knew that my little guinea pig, who now have been raised in the mean grasses of my backyard, could now take on anything. I never had to worry about him. The only thing he died of was old age, so he lived a good long life.
Oh, and I bet he was super healthy. And he had like a little fence around him.
No, with my grandfather, when we had a new roof put on, so he took some of the roof shingles and built him a little guinea pig house, and that's where he lived in.
Oh,
like, literally,
how
a miniature dog house. At night, first thing we put it down, he went right in, and we put a little blanket in there, and he just felt all cozy and comfy, and he'd sleep in there at night, come out, munch on grass. We put out food for him, and he was gangster. He was the Kong of his own Skull Island in that backyard.
Oh my God! I also love how you're throwing in all kinds of monster and kaiju references.
Pretty much. So. But yeah, so that's the story of my gangster guinea pig. What were we talking about? We were talking about Hamataro. I think that's how we came to it. So
yeah,
but anyway,
yeah. No, we understand. We were talking about all the wonderful things that come out of Japan.
Yes, some of the crazy stuff. Speaking of things coming out of Japan, Crunchyroll. Do you ever use Crunchyroll, Jessica?
I do. Thank you, Crunchyroll, for Attack on Titan. Granted, all those commercials wanted me to just kick the crap out of the screen. But, can't complain when something is free.
Well, if you have the paid account, you get the commercial free stuff.
Oh, yeah. No, God, no. The me and two of my other poor friends were not. I mean, I'm sure if all of us did it like $2 a piece, we would have. But they literally only used Crunchyroll for Attack on Titan.
Well,
so I don't think they would be reoccurring members.
They might have
but,
to. They might have to after this news. So I know you're a massive Ultraman fan.
Yes.
You know your Ultraman. Like, you know Ultraman far better than I do. Like, I'm a offhanded Ultraman fan. Like, my Ultraman growing up was Ultraman Towards the Future, the Australian one. And then years later, I tracked down Ultra 7, and I watched all of Ultra 7. And then, besides a few of the movies, the Zero movies, that's about my extent of my Ultraman knowledge. So, Crunchyroll, this week and a half ago, they announced, hey, out of nowhere, we're going to start streaming Ultraman Max, like, on our site, subtitled, legitimately. Like, you don't have to go out and buy bootlegs, all 52 episodes. And everyone was just like, wait, what? So, this is the first time, I think since Tiga aired on Fox Kids, that Ultraman has been legitimately available in America in some form. You didn't have to go download on a torrent or anything like that. So, Ultraman Max was the first one. Then, like a day later, they're like, oh yeah, we also got Ultraman Meebus. Like, what? So now you have 2 Ultraman series that are completely subtitled and available for watch for free, if you want, on Crunchyroll. So this is a big, important moment, isn't it, Jessica?
Yes, it is, because, I actually did, of one of the many panels I did at Stanley, it was about the 20th anniversary of Power Rangers, because Power Morphin Con recently passed.
Yes.
And then we talked about, like, Tokusatsu, Super Sentai cultures, Ultraman, Kamen Riders, and a lot of it is why it's not popular in the United States. And Dave Baker was one of my friends and guests on there, and he's a huge Tokusatsu fan. He goes, the thing for it is availability. He was like, I think if it was more readily available, not illegally, because some people just don't want to do it that way. He goes, that's how you would be able to be exposed to it. He goes, this whole, like, the only other place to get it is to come to conventions like these and buy bootlegs of it. Then it's like this whole thing, and then like everything, and so he goes, it's a complicated system. He goes, why do you think so many things are torrented? He goes, had you just have them available and not by region free, people will eventually discover it and watch it. So I think Crunchyroll having that is a huge, coming after this panel and my friend expressing how he felt, I think that's a huge step up. And I think that more people would be exposed. And also, it's zany and wonderful, and I think people would love it.
Oh yeah, I've actually started watching Ultraman Max. I got a free, I think 30-day like premium account, so I'm using it to watch Max. I'm gonna try to watch Meebus, but there's like that's 100 episodes. I don't have the time to watch 100 episodes, so I'll probably watch the free versions with all the commercials once my account expires. But yeah, no, it's awesome because again, like, as you said, the only way to get a lot of these shows are just to get the bootlegs. Like, I know Ultraman aired over here, I know Ultra 7 aired over here, and then it was Ultraman Towards the Future, and then after that was Tiga. And then those were pretty much the 4 Ultramen that you got. And, like, I think 7 was the longest running one that was in syndication. Like, that just got replayed over and over again. But it was on, like, TBS back before anybody really cared what TBS was. So yeah, that's always been a thing. Like, Super Raya Studios has always like dragged their feet on doing anything stateside with Ultraman. Because I think the main thing they've always complained of is like, well, you're all just bootlegging our stuff anyway, so nobody's going to care. It's like, well, no, I mean it's a niche market, and it's a very select. It's a smaller group than they really think that are bootlegging. Now I know that there's a lot of they're thinking like, okay, well, everyone's bootlegging. That's the only people that are going to be interested. It's like, no, I guarantee you there will be more people interested. If you look at how Tiga was handled by 4Kids Entertainment, that was like manhandled terribly. It had a bad dub on it. I just went back and rewatched Towards the Future, which awesome freaking show. It was as awesome as I remember when I was like 7 years old watching it. And surprisingly, it could have aired on Sci-Fi as a normal show. I mean, yeah, it's a little goofy with the effects. They're kind of dated, but the show took itself fairly straightforward. It was pretty much an adult show, tagged as a kid's show. And if a lot, I know the more modern Ultramen really play up to the kid aspect now because that's who's watching it. But
Right.
if they picked and choose like certain ones they're doing, I know Max has a lot of fans. I believe Matt Frank, when I was talking to him at Power Morphicon Express, he was showing me something. It's like, yeah, this is from Ultraman Max. I'm like, dude, you hit me with the one thing I don't know a lot about, dude. It was Ultraman. He's like, oh yeah, I love Ultraman. So I know Max was popular. I know Meebas was super popular. So getting those two, and on a service where you don't really have to pay anything to watch it, that's best way to really expose people to it. And on top of that, literally 24 hours ago, they announced they just put up Ultraman Leo as well, which is one of the 70s ones. I started watching that. That is freaking awesome. I love I was watching one episode where I think it's the first episode where Leo shows up and he helps Ultra 7 fight off two of these giant monsters, and they're fighting on a shoreline. I forgot just how much awesome the water work they would do on these shows was, because that was a lot. There was a bunch of water fights in Ultraman 7, and they built Super Riot built these really intricate sets. And just seeing those suits and water splashing around, the actor inside the Ultraman suit would just splash around wildly, and it kind of, in the way that it was filmed in the higher motion when it was played back, just looks amazing. So it's a nice it's just nice to see Ultraman. Pretty much after Godzilla ended, my kaiju fixes were coming from the Ultraman movies that were coming out of Japan during the mid 2000s, like the Zero films.
Right. No, I understand what you mean. Yeah. And a lot of kaiju lovers who collect figurines a lot of them, I mean, you can only have so many from Godzilla or Gamera, so they go towards Ultraman.
Yeah.
And other things in order to get the fix that they need. Sounds terrible, like it's a drug addiction. But in order to get what they need, essentially. Because, we start, as fans, we start looking outwards. When we're done with something, we start looking out for similar things, almost like Amazon's suggested you may also like this.
Yeah.
People start looking out and looking for other things that they like. That's how a lot of my friends discover new things that are kind of within the same genre that they like.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, have you seen these yet? I didn't ask. I mean, have you watched Max or Meebas?
I have, but I have not experienced them on Crunchyroll.
Okay.
So I need to be on Crunchyroll a little bit more as soon as I'm done with a couple of things at home. But no, I've always been and I've been thinking for a while to just get a subscription. Yeah. Because I'm sorry, those commercials, I wanted to just, they were too frequent and too long of commercials.
My thing's for $14.99, so it's not too bad. It's not that bad. So. And there is
it's a little bit more expensive than Netflix, but it's not. I mean,
it's pretty much Netflix.
It caters to a different audience than the Netflix people.
It's Hulu for anime, pretty much. And
yes,
they have
yes, it is.
A ton of Korean dramas on there, just lousy with Korean dramas. Oh my God, there's so many. But I mean, I never asked, how many of the Ultraman series have you actually seen all the way through?
I've actually seen all of them. Up until everything that is pretty much also listed on Wikipedia, because that's how I kept in touch with everything, and I go through forums and everything. But I haven't. The thing is, I watch everything once. Mm-hmm. So for the people who rewatch and rewatch and rewatch series, like some people are with Community or Parks and Rec, I have not done that with them.
So you pretty much
also because, like you said, when it's 100 episodes, it's there's so many to rewatch. And then, of course, you pick and choose the ones that you like, but there is fun in rewatching, binge watching them again, but in order.
Exactly.
So it's something that when I can find time on an entire Saturday, on a rare Saturday where I have nothing to do, I'm just going to just binge as much as I can and just rewatch all of them. Because it'll be nice to kind of jolt memory. I've been trying to do that also because I love Voltron and I keep up with the comics. But I haven't rewatched every Voltron episode I watched as a child.
Yeah. And
now some of them are terrible.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to rewatch, the 1966 Batman came out. So I have seen all those episodes once through. So now I want to kind of be able to rewatch them again.
I was a junkie for those when I was a kid. I loved the 66 Batman, but I've seen those so many times that I could ramble stuff off. So And plus I'm not paying the $140 for the DVD set right now. That's just a little too much for my blood. But yeah, you've watched pretty much every Ultraman. That is inhumanly impressive. Like I found the American one that they made like back in the '90s after the Australian one,
Yes.
and I couldn't watch. It was so bad.
It's certain things America touches
Yeah.
that is original medium was in foreign soil is not great. So when they had announced the possible American Doctor Who, I almost like threw a brick out my own window. So I was like, no.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how it was. Like the because my Ultraman growing up is always going to be the Australian one with Jack Shindo. That's I had the game, I had all that. I was super into that show, even though it was 13 episodes long. But no, I like at a Comic-Con back in 2001, a dude sold me the first all 13 episodes of the American one. I put in quotation. That never got released over here for $10. I popped it on 2 episodes in. I'm just I can't watch because I did a little research on them. It turns out the suits they made were so fragile that when they would do the fights, they had to pull the punches. So it looks so Ultraman's going in. He's going to throw a punch at Red King, and he stops and slows down, just kind of butterfly taps him. And then there's a lot of grabbing and rocking back and forth, they're wrestling, but it's really delicately done. So Ultraman's the only one that does any flips or anything like that. But whenever he attacks a monster, it's just the weakest looking dude giving a pansy slap to these things. And I was like, this is garbage. I can't. I feel gypped out of my $10.
Oh no, it's terrible.
Yeah, but that's the gamble you take at comic conventions like that, though. So, but no, we got to sit down one day and just talk all Ultraman. You need to educate me. So.
Also, there's Ultraman comics.
Yes, I have the.
Not Superman people. Ultraman, yeah. Ultraman, not
yeah, not the evil Superman.
Ultraman.
Yeah. I got a couple of the Battle of the Ultra Brothers comics from when I was a kid. And then I have a couple of the ones that are based on the Ultraman Towards the Future. But I know there's a ton of other stuff. Just massive. So I think in the near future, we're going to have to sit down, and you're going to have to educate me on everything Ultraman.
Yes, sounds good.
All right. Well, let's talk about Pacific Rim. That's why we're all here.
Oh, my God. No, that's also talking about something else that's years away.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have a cartoon in 2 years. So it's getting closer, Jessica. It's getting closer. And then we have a movie in 3 years. So we know Guillermo del Toro, he was out promoting Book of Life, which he produced.
Yes.
Yes,
he was.
Did you see Book of Life?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Everything cut out for a couple seconds.
Oh, that's fine.
I have. Oh God, by the time you guys hear this episode, I would have watched Book of Life because I'm actually going literally tomorrow.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, that's good to know because he was out promoting it, and of course, everyone was kind of bugging him. It's okay, the 3 things you got. So, what's your next movie? Okay, I did a haunted house movie. Okay, what's up with The Strain? We're coming back next year. All right, finally, what's up with Pacific Rim? So that's what we're gonna touch on. So he gave a update to Pacific Rim 2, which he dropped a couple of new tidbits, and they're worth noting. So the script for 2, he said, is about done, and the big news is that the fact that Travis Beacham is back. Because originally it was just Del Toro and Zach Penn working on it, because Beacham at the time was working on his show Hieroglyph, which now we know Fox ceremoniously canceled months before it even aired. There's 5 full completed episodes and a half of a 6th one just floating out there that will never be seen. That I still can't wrap my head around that. That is so wasteful. So now that he's got a little free time, they brought him back in. It's hey, you created this. Let's spruce it up a bit. So Beacham's back in, and not only are they working on 2, which he said is going to be not a radical departure, but a tonal departure from the first one. He's pretty much he's kind of hinting that it gets real, and that we're probably going to see some new characters. But it's going to lead into a possible part 3, so we might get a trilogy out of this, Jessica.
which I think was the original plan, if I'm not mistaken. So, because in my mind, I always saw it as a trilogy, also.
Yeah, which I think that's what Legendary's always wanted when they took on the script. But the thing is, though, the movie did so here, and Warner Brothers was like, nah, we don't need it anymore. But thankfully, Universal's like, hey, we only can make so many Fast and Furious movies, so we're gonna put our time and effort into this. So they're back in the new one now, and I think they've learned a lot of lessons that Warner Brothers did, like on advertising and release date. That's a big thing nowadays. So it's coming out in April, which is a much better date than mid-July than the last one. But yeah, Part 3, which is amazing, which everyone's still complaining. It's like, you should be doing Hellboy 3 instead of doing this. I'm like, oh, it's a matter of someone wants to make Hellboy 3. Like, Universal made Hellboy 2. Universal was not going to make Hellboy 3. They said, yeah, we're good. We're good right now. So, Del Toro's going to do what Del Toro's going to do.
That is true. That is true. And, there's only so much time. He is kind of one man. He's doing The Strain. He obviously did Book of Life, Pacific Rim 2, possibly 3. And there's other things I heard that he was doing at one time, obviously Justice League Dark, and I believe was it his version of Pinocchio?
Yeah, I don't know if that's still going or not. Like, he was producing like an
so I mean,
version.
that would have been great. I mean, I don't know if I want to be scarred for life and see a Del Toro's version of Pinocchio. But I mean,
weird.
Granted, the Disney cartoon also scarred me as a child, so that was different. But I would love to have seen his Justice League Dark, which, as you saw, is not announced in the DC lineup.
Yeah.
I mean, things can always be added, and not all those movies. I mean, as many of my friends say, I'll believe it when I see it, when those movies make it on screen. So, but I don't know. The last time I Googled Justice League Dark, I think it was in the summer, and they were all older links to the news, to when he originally spoke about it.
I wouldn't doubt that Constantine the show might have put a damper on that.
Yeah, because he wanted to have Constantine, he had Zatanna. Like, I would love to see Swamp Thing and all kinds, but
that would have been awesome.
Dead Man, I could see how that could be an issue.
Yeah, which they've already made subtle hints to all that in Constantine as well. So.
Yes, and did you see Constantine episode 1?
Yes, I did. Did you see Swamp Thing's head?
No, I saw Pandora's Box, and I saw my favorite was Dr. Fate's helmet.
Yes.
Sorry, people, spoilers. We should have clarified that, but I freaked out when I saw Dr. Fate's helmet. Where was Swamphead's head?
It was in a glass case, so when they're walking around and they're talking about, like, oh, this place is like kind of just it's a containment area for like magical pieces of property and stuff like that. Swamp Thing's head's inside of a case, and then the girl picks up Dr. Fate's helmet. So they're not shying. They're shying away more from the Vertigo and going very much more Justice League Dark. The fact that they're introducing the Spirit, or not Spirit, but the Spectre very soon in the show.
Yeah, Kristen Allen. Yeah, that's a huge thing.
By the way, a lot of Doctor Who references in this show too.
There is, and there are certain shows that also have a lot of Doctor Who references. Oh my God, Eric Wallace. I forgot what he wrote for. He also wrote Mr. Terrific, the DC comic. I think it wasn't Warehouse 13. Was it Eureka? I can't remember. But he also wrote another really pretty popular sci-fi show, and there was a ton of Doctor Who references also. I think Doctor Who is like the show. The sci-fi show that people reference to in other sci-fi shows. Pretty much, yeah. It's like an homage or like a love to it. Yeah. But I was like, yep. I believe, one episode behind on Constantine. So it is since I'm not currently watching Supernatural, this is my Supernatural.
Oh, that's good. Are you watching Flash?
Yes, I am. I have not watched this week's Flash yet because I had something to do, but
so good.
I will have to watch it this weekend.
It's so good, Jessica. Like, I'm not going to play with spoilers, but oh my God. Shut up and take my money.
I think I saw you write down your Facebook status, or maybe it was somebody else, but I wouldn't be surprised.
It was me. It's the way that they ended it was awesome. I love the Flash. Like, I haven't watched really much of Arrow, but Flash has got me hooked. I love everything about Flash and Constantine. I've been really enjoying Constantine. Like the pilot was great, and the second episode really dipped, but then I think they found their stride again. So, but anyway, we've gotten sidetracked a hell of a lot on this episode.
It's all right. Our listeners get to learn more about us.
Yes, so especially stuff like this. So yeah, Pacific Rim 2, possibly 3 now. Del Toro seems very high on it. They start. He said they're almost done with the script, and I think production's going to start about this time next year. So by 2 Comic Cons from now, we might see like a better sneak peek or a better idea what we're going to get up Pacific Rim. By that time too, we should be getting a look inside the cartoon as well. I'm thinking.
Right. I think so too, and I'm really interested to see what the animated series will look like and will be.
Yeah, that's I'm actually
the final product.
Yeah,
actually.
I'm far more interested in that at the moment than I am like the sequel. So, I'm not. I don't think that's telling of anything. I'm just very curious what they're going to do with the animated series. I already know like the movie's going to be awesome. Like with cartoon, like you're in my kind of like thing right there. So show me what you got. So
yes.
All right. Well, wow, we're already running a little behind. So let's finish things up. If you listened to the last few episodes, we were really pushing Kaiju Gaiden, the documentary about lost and kind of like fan filmy kaiju films. I don't really say fan films, but like lost and odd kaiju films. That,
yeah, they were kind of rare kaiju films.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say they're fan films in the sense that fans made them, but those fans are the ones that actually worked in the studios.
Yes.
From what I understand.
Exactly.
So it's almost like if you were a Warner Brothers employee
mm-hmm.
and you worked on Nolan's Batman,
mm-hmm.
but yet somehow you had the connections and the friendships and other coworkers, and maybe you was able to like lend a Batmobile, and you made your own Batman film.
Pretty much,
that was much shorter and rarer.
Yeah.
So technically you are a fan,
mm-hmm.
but you have the employee connections and actually worked on the film.
Yeah, it's not like...
Because a lot of that stuff looked really, really good on Kaiju Gaiden.
Oh, yeah. So, if I've been posting a ton of it on the Facebook. The Kickstarter, I think, ended yesterday or 2 days ago as we were recording this. They met their goal, so the movie is a go. They actually met over their goal, too. So they got I think it's like 30,000. So a lot of those bonus features they were talking, that Mark had been mentioning, will be coming. And now it looks like they have shot the doc. I know that they're, from what I've been in contact with, that they're putting it together right now. So hopefully we'll see something in the future. We're going to get those guys back. We're going to get Mark and David on next couple of weeks or maybe a month or so. Just they have stories to tell about their time in Japan. So it's believe me, it's gonna be awesome. But the fact that they made it and we're getting the movie is tremendous, because there's a lot of awesome stuff that you guys are gonna see in this thing, and hopefully this leads to maybe a release of some of this stuff. We don't know yet, but I'm trying not to put any words in. Don't read anything to what I'm saying. I'm out there wildly speculating at this point. But no, I can't wait. I have been lucky. Both Jessica and I have been lucky to see some of these films that Mark has been collecting. They are wonderful. Atragon 2 is completely awesome in a nutty kind of way, but it is awesome. And what we've seen of Wolfman vs. Godzilla is just pure joy. There's so much awesome in that too. So expect more coverage of Kaiju Gaiden from us, because I've been about shilling this thing since day one, since we met Mark and he told us about the project. I'm just like, if you go back to listen to episode 10, he tells the awesome story of how he found it. I think 2 episodes before this one, we followed up on it and all the other stuff he had. So go listen to those if you haven't heard them. Give you a good idea what the movie's about. But hey, it's coming, and we're very happy for them. We want to give them our congratulations, and hopefully they'll be in soon to talk about their trials and tribulations that they've had.
Yeah, it would be great if from their end.
Mm-hmm.
For a little while, it kind of dipped, or there was on a stall in terms of, funders and backers. But then they actually hit a great stride, and they actually made, a little bit over what their goal would be.
Which is good because I know they have there's a ton of stuff that they have. So this, the overage, they've said will give them, room to release a lot of this stuff. So I know that they shot a ton of footage. If you're making like an hour and a half to 2 hour documentary, you have like 40 hours of footage. I mean, you can only use so much. So this way, you'll at least, all the backers will get all the cool stuff that they got, and everyone else will be able to start, seeing all the stuff that they filmed. So again, we're gonna have them on hopefully soon. Give all the details about the film. They have tales to tell from Japan, so hopefully we can have them regale us with it. If Mark's listening, just get ready because we're gonna sit back down with you because he tells the greatest stories too. So anyway.
Yes, he definitely has some great tales, and he always has all kinds of really interesting and cool and unique things that even some really, really hardcore kaiju fans haven't seen yet.
Oh, he showed me something. He showed me some stuff at Kamikaze. I'm just like, oh god, I can't wait to get back on and just like talk about all this stuff. So it gets me giddy. I love this stuff. I love like the lost stuff. Like during my high school, like my super uptight film geek phase. Like I was all about finding like all the Turkish films that ripped off Hollywood films, like the Turkish Superman. And like the Turkish Spider-Man movie, all that stuff. Like I had a real major hard-on for that stuff. I still have all that stuff. I love that kind of stuff. So, like, like all the stuff that Mark has is just, he's literally like Smaug on top of a pile of gold, and I'm just like, I need to see more of it. So, excuse me. Oh, got a little bit of a cough. So yeah, if you want to check out more, you can check out their Facebook of Kaiju Gaiden. They have a Tumblr as well. They have their Twitter. Go follow them. They're good people, and they're gonna have a lot more news coming your way if you're following them. And believe me, this is gonna be something you're really gonna want to watch. Oh, all right, Jessica. It's pushing 2 a.m. our time.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But, we definitely have more to say about kaijus in our next podcast.
Yes. So we got a ton of I got a ton of stuff lined up. We're going to have a lot to talk about. But yeah, this pretty much was just like this is a nice catch-up episode. This is a casual experience. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed. On that note, Jessica, where can people find more of our work?
Yes, you can find more of us on the Kaiju Kingdom podcast.tumblr.com. We are also on Twitter, but on Twitter we are the Kaiju Kingdom because podcast is just, there's only so many characters we could be on there. Yeah. We are also very active on Facebook, thank you to Chris, which is facebook.com/the Kaiju Kingdom podcast. We also have emails for those so inclined to privately talk to us, not just inbox us. It is the Kaiju Kingdom podcast at gmail.com.
All right, and if you want to, keep up on new stuff, you can head on over to therealmcast.com, where I do a lot of work over there. I host several other podcasts. If you heard us talking about Flash earlier, I host a Flash podcast called The Rundown, The Flash, with my good friends George Cordero and Sergio Sanchez. I also host the Take Two podcast with George Cordero. That's where we talk about all the news in the week. And also, I run a Legend of Korra podcast, if you like Legend of Korra, with my good friend Eddie Dilworth. You can check that out as well over there at therealmcast.com. We also have the Comics Unchained podcast, as well as the Arrow podcast, and a couple of other goodies over there as well. So go on, check us out over there. Jessica, where can they find you?
Actually, now that the wonderful Facebook somehow has hung down and made me change my last name, which I think you noticed.
Yes.
Chris. I'm not so sure.
I did.
But always feel free to, yeah, you saw me. You can always feel free to friend me on Jessica, and my last name is Tseng, Tseang. And, just definitely inbox me and know that you heard me on here or we've met in person or something, because I feel so bad. I won't want to ignore friend requests of someone, for like you, the listener, versus like a random person who just somehow finds people on Facebook and Twitter. And then from there, I run the comicbookgirl.com and girlongeek.com, and also that links to all my other social media sites.
Okay. And on that note, I have big news. If you didn't hear the last episode, we're finally up on Stitcher and iTunes. So
Yay!
For those who don't like to right-click and save as, you can head on over to those places, put us in your feed. We always would love some feedback. If you hate us, if you like us, if you're just like, hey, Chris maybe needs to shut up a little bit and let Jessica talk some more. That's all welcomed. So if you don't like heading over to Panzer Crush, you can head on over to one of those two sites. You can stream us off of there, off Stitcher, and you can listen to it. Or you can download us off of iTunes as well. So, hey, we're in the forefront of podcasting future finally. Real quick, I got one other thing I want to make mention of before we leave. This completely spaced me, but I felt that it was so good that it needed to be mentioned. For the 60th anniversary, I posted a video up on our Tumblr, and I felt that the gentleman that made it said it was still a work in progress, and that it had some issues. But I'm just like, no, this I even wrote him. It's just like, dude, this is like the finest piece of it's the finest representation of 60 years worth of Godzilla on there. So a gentleman by the name of Jackson Morris made a tribute to Godzilla. It's called the 60th Rough Cut. Go check it out on our Tumblr. It's 6.5 minutes long, and sans a few video color correction issues, it is a magnificent montage video. If you really want to sum up Godzilla in 60 years, this guy did it beautifully, and it's perfect. So go over there and check it out. It is awesome. So, on that note, that is going to do it for us for this week. So, for myself and
Jessica, hi.